Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trishe Namaha Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Suruto Pango Mama Mandamatergati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Shrimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtalabhi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vamshivata Tatakstitaha Karshanavenu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Numaste Charanaravindam Brindai Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. More loudly, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I think first we will chant Prabhupada Padmastavaka. So you can sing. The mridanga is there. We have a second mridanga also here, which others can play if they so desire. So we're going to sing Sujanar Buddharadita Pada Yugam Yugadharma Durandara Patravaram. What? Varadabhayadaya Kapuja Padam. What? Pranamami Sada. Everyone repeat after me. Pranamami Sada. Pranamami Sada. Pranamami Sada. Prabhupada Padam. Prabhupada Padam. Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam. Everyone. Louder. Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam. Do you want the mercy of Srila Prabhupada today? Then you gotta chant loudly. Okay? So everybody, we're going to sing that song. Oh, can you give him the mic?
Sujanarbudharadita padayugam yugadharmadurantara patravaram varadabhayadayaka pujaparam pranamami sada prabhu padaparam. Sujanarbudharadita padayugam yugadharmadurantara patraparam Varadabhayadayaka pujaparam pranamami sada Prabhupada param sada Prabhupada param Bhajanorjita sajana sangapate patitatika karunikaikagate Gati vanchita vanchaka chintya param pranamami sada Prabhupada param Atiko malakanchana dirgatano tanu nindita hema mrinalamata Madanarbudha bandita chandra param pranamami sada Prabhupada param Nija sevakataraka ranjivido Nija sevakataraka ranjivido Vidutahitahum krita singavaram Varanagata palisha shanda param pranamami sada Prabhupada param Vipule krita vaibhava gora bhuva bhuvaneshu vikirtita gorataya Dayani aganarpita gora param Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Chiragora Janashraya Vishwaguru Guru Gora Kishoraka Dasya Param. Paramadrita Bhakti Vinoda Param. Paramadrita Bhakti Vinoda Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Hara Guru Sanatana Kirti Taram. Sanatana Kirti Taram. Tarane Tala Kirti Tajiva Kavim. Niyaganar Kaviraj Narotama Sakya Param. Kaviraj Narotama Sakya Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada. Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Taram Tarane Paraharaka Gaura Janam. Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Taram Tarane Gaura Janam. Janakadika Vatsala Sneda Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Sharanagata Kinkara Kalpataro Tarudhikrita Dhiravadanya Varam. Sharanagata Varadendra Ganarchita Devya Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Paraham Savaram Paramartha Patem Patito Dharane Krita Veshayate. Paraham Savaram Yati Rajaganai Parisevya Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Pranamami sada Vrishabhanu Sutta Daitanu Charam. Vrishabhanu Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Daitanu Charam. Charanashrita Renutarastamaha. Mahararbhuta Pavana Shakti Param. Mahararbhuta Pavana Shakti. Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Pranamami sada Pranamami sada Prabhupada param. Pranamami 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 sada Prabhupada Param. Pranamami sada Prabhupada. Oh, Pranamami sada Prabhupada Param. Pranamami sada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Jaya Swaparshara Srila Prabhupada, Swaparshara Srila Prabhupada, Swaparshara Srila Prabhupada. No, that's anyways. Whatever. Oh, oh. Together or leading the song? Sangsara dava nalalida loka tranaya karuna kana kana tvam. Sangsara dava nalalida loka tranaya karuna kana kana tvam. Praptasya kalyana gunanavasya kalyana gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. 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 Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nrita Gita Varitramadyan Manasura Sena. Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nrita Gita Varitramadyan Manasura Sena. Romanchakam Pashutaranga Bhajo. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Romanchakam Pashutaranga Bhajo. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Shri Vigraharatana Nityanana Shringaratan Mantira Marjanato. Shri Vigraharatana Nityanana Shringaratan Mantira Marjanato. O Yuktasya Bhaktam Shaniyunjatopi. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Chaturveda Shri Bhagavat Prasado, Svatanatriptan Hari Bhakta Sanghan. Kritvaiva triptim bhajata sadaiva, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Shri Radhika Madhavayorapara, Madhurya Leela Gunarupanamna, Shri Radhika Madhava Pratikshana Swatanalolupasya, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Nikunjayuno Rati Kelisedai, Yayalibir Yuktirapekshaneya, Nikunjayuno Tatrati Daksharati Valabhasya, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Shakshadharitvena samasta shastrar, Uktastata bhavyata eva sarvi. Shakshadharitvena samasta shastrar, Uktastata bhavyata eva sarvi. Kintu prabhurya priya eva tasya, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam, Vande Guru Shri Yasya prasadar bhagavat prasado, Yasya prasadanagati kutopi, Yasya Dhyayanstu vangstasya yasya shrisan Sandhyan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Dhyayam Stuvam Yashastri Sandhyan Vande Guru Shri Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Oh Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindan Jai Gurudeva 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 Jaya Gurudeva 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Jai Sachinandan, Jai Gora Hare, Sachinandan, Jai Gora Hare, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Gora Hare, Jai Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe, Jai Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari, Jai Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Radhe. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Bolo Bol! Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. 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 Gaur Shri Advaita Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Advaita, Gaur Shri Advaita Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Shri Advaita Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Shri Advaita Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Oh, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Gadadhar Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaur Gadadhar Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
गौर गदाधार बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 बोल गौर श्री श्रीवास बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर श्री श्रीवास बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल loudly गौर श्री श्रीवास बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल क्रोध क्यों गौर श्री श्रीवास बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 बोल गौर भक्त वृंद 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 बोल हरि 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 बोल निताई गो हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गो हरि बोल हरि बोल Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, Nitai, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, Nitai, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, Nitai, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai, Nitai, Nitai Gauranga. Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram. Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Louder. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai, Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai, Shri Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Tirubhav Mahamahotsav Titi Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Okay, we broke the ice. After 8 months, no program here. So, first of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta, Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata, Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, without whom we would never have heard the name of Prabhupada or Krishna or any, without him. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my unlimited Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, all of my Siksha Guru Varga, and on this most holy occasion of the 88th disappearance day from this planet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my heartfelt obeisances at his divine lotus feet with all my Shraddha Pushpanjali, and begging him that on this day we can speak a few words in his glorification, which are unlimited, infinite, untouchable, but it is our duty to try to touch them on such days as today. And my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis who have come here today at Sri Maypur Dham, 1 kilometer or less from the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this very spot. Bhaktivedanta Kunj, you can't get more auspicious than this, and very near to the Samadhi of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, not far from here. So, this is a place of Udipan for Srila Prabhupada, isn't it? Big time Udipan, because this is where it all began, right here in Mayapur Dham. But we would not have this divine personality, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He would not have been here in this world if it had not been for another highly exalted eternal associate of Radha and Krishna,
who called him to come from the spiritual world. And who is that, I ask you? Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is an eternal maidservant of Shri Radha and Krishna. In Goloka Vrindavan, he descended to this world. If he had not descended to this world, there would be no practically preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because everything had gradually diminished over centuries from the time of Mahaprabhu. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he restarted it. And he restarted it with a whole view to not just limit this movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this message, this Harinam Samkirtan movement, not to limit it only to the borderline of Bharatvarsha. No, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to bring it to the whole world. Why did he want to bring it to the whole world? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself told that this will go where? You know the shlok? Priti vite ache jata nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoibe moranam. Who spoke those words? Yes. Where did he speak them? In the Chaitanya Bhagavat or the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Which one? Yes, Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted. And if he predicts something, do you think that that prediction is accurate? You think that there's some possibility that it may not be exactly correct, like an astrologer's prediction about something, huh? No. If Mahaprabhu says this will go everywhere, every town and village, you should know it's going. But listen, did it go yet? Did it go when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was active in his mission of spreading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message throughout the whole world? Was it active at that time? Did it actually happen yet? No. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he did what? He wrote the book, which was intended for the ears and the intelligence of a Western audience for the first time. In English language, he wrote the book. What is it called? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and His Precepts. A small book. How many of you have read that book? Raise your hand if you've read that book. No. Raise your hand if you're going to read that book really soon. Raise your hand if you're just not interested to read that book. You'll get heavily penalized, believe me. It's a small book, so don't be afraid. You should read it. Just go online. Type in that on Google. You'll get the book. There's no copyright or anything on it. So what did Bhaktivinoda Thakur do with that book? He took a couple of the copies of that book and he sent them to 2 different locations in the Western countries. 2 different libraries. Do you know which ones? Yes. McGill University Library. And in London, which library? Really? Yes. Wow. What a relic. But I had heard some devotees went to those and stole the original book. Maybe that was just a rumor. I don't know, but... So now that book, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and his precepts, try to imagine Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, highly educated in the British universities, very highly posted governor's servant as a high court judge. He wrote this book, and his intention was that the people of the Western countries who never ever heard the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will now hear about this historical personality. This is not just some, imaginative fiction that such a person existed. No. There are vast biographical literatures written at the time that he was on the planet. Masterpiece literatures, biographies, hundreds of thousands of words long, which told all the activities that happened right here in Maypur Dham. How Mahaprabhu appeared right here. What did he do here in his first 24 years? What incredible pastimes he performed. So how would Bhaktivinoda Thakur convey this to a Western audience? He chose to depict this divine personality in a similar way to Jesus Christ. Because everyone in the West, they know about that personality, right? It's a Christian civilization, so they know. And they call him the Savior. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur called him the what? The Western Savior. He called him the Western Savior. But then he referred to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Eastern Savior. Yes. So he wanted the people to get some idea who this personality is, how sublime his whole life, his activities, how highly exalted, educated. Not some ordinary person. Topmost level scholar, even at a young teenage. Defeated the greatest scholar traveling around India, trying to proclaim that nobody can defeat him. Right here on the banks of the Ganga, he was defeated. Right here, he was defeated on the banks of the Ganga by Nimai Pandit in front of his students. All these pastimes, childhood pastimes and so forth, were related in a very synopsized way by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then in the second half of that book, which is not long, there he dedicated the whole second part, to the precepts that were taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Well, how would he possibly tell this in a synopsized way? He chose to describe that this great teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are divided into 10 essential philosophical principles. It's called Das Mool Tattva. And he described those 10. And then he began to narrate the extended understanding and purport of each one of those. Because if you know the Dasmul Tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, then you will know his philosophy. At least in the beginning levels, you will understand his philosophy. So although we Western devotees who came to the lotus feet of our Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj at our young ages, we never heard the term Dasmul Tattva. Prabhupada didn't really mention the 10 essential philosophical principles. Not until I read the Jaiva Dharma that was translated by the Gaudiya Math before Gurudev's came. Then I understood, oh, das Mul, because there's one chapter in the book for each one of those 10 principles. So anyway, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was the architect. You know, you want to build a big building. Who's the first person that is professional person that is required to construct a big, huge building? Just like they're constructing this building here now, which is the most extraordinary building on the surface of the earth. And it will become known as that by millions and hundreds of millions of people all over the world very soon. Prabhupada even predicted there will be an airport nearby here, because no one will have to fly to Maypur, which is the capital of the entire world, from, first of all, going to Delhi or Calcutta. No, they'll fly directly. Maybe it'll be 100 miles from here, I don't know. But that there will be an airport, Prabhupada predicted, that can fly jumbo jets. And they'll be able to fly from any point in the whole world directly to Mayapur Dham, Navadvip. Is that good? Huh? Yes, that's good, right? So we're just sitting here now while everything is just beginning to sprout out of the earth. This is the very beginning. Where the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now beginning to manifest. I always tell the devotees that those of us who are oldies, we came here when there was only rice fields. That's it. Nothing else. No shops even. No bottled water. We came here in 1975 on a jumbo jets from New York. Then it had to stop in London. So in New York, it started with a couple of hundred devotees from all over America. Chartered flight, Air India. But we took the same exact airplane. It wasn't like now, where you change airplanes in the airport, all of that. No. We're on the same airplane for like 35 hours. Okay? We had our lunch bags of prasadam that was given to us. And this was our exciting moment, because most of us had not yet been to India and had not yet been to the Dham. And we're coming to Mayapur Navadvip Dham to celebrate Gaur Purnima with Srila Prabhupada. Can you imagine how excited we were? So we had to stop after New York in London. Devotees more came on the airplane from London. Then we stopped in Germany. More German devotees came on the airplane, and European devotees. Then we had to stop, I forget, but somewhere in the Middle East we had to stop to refueling. Then finally we flew to Bombay, but we couldn't get off the plane yet. And then from Bombay we flew to Calcutta Airport. And what were we thinking when we flew to Calcutta Airport? This is the birthplace of our Prabhupada. We got off that airplane and we plastered our bodies on the cement tarmac of that airfield. About 500 devotees. Yes. And then there were buses waiting for us. The Indian buses. The devotees had organized for our whole group. And the buses picked us up there after we got our luggages, and we filed onto the buses. There must have been at least 10 buses or more. So now we're rumbling down the road, coming from the winter of New York into the tropical paradise of Bengal. And we're all thinking of the paintings in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which had been finished, or not quite finished at that point. Just tell them, leave it in the office. Just tell them that. Yeah. So, as we're rumbling along the roads after 36 hours, and we're all like sleepy, and then we're opening our eyes, and banana trees, coconut trees, mango trees, and now we're in the land of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it took us at least 4 hours, and then finally the devotees who were leading, because they were living here, Western devotees, they started clanging kartals and they started a kirtan, and they said, everybody wake up, quick, wake up. Now we're coming. You see here, look on your left. And the bus slowed down. And on your left, you see that there? That's the Samadhi of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki. So we're looking like this. Then we came a little farther. And then they said, now look on your left. You see that little temple there? That's the house of Srivas Thakur Ki, where all the kirtans took place for the first year when Mahaprabhu manifested. All night long kirtans right here. Then we went a little farther, and there was the temple, which we can practically see from here, if it wasn't for those trees. And that temple, the bus stopped there. But we weren't allowed to get off. They said, this is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The neem tree is there. The house, the place where he was born, to Sachi Mata, Jagannath Mishra, is there. And we're all looking like this. Then, he said, the bus started moving again. Look there, way across the rice fields, all the way down. There's only one building sticking up in the middle of the rice fields. That's Srila Prabhupada's Maypur Chandrodaya Mandir Ki. Yes. So we came rumbling down the road, and then we were greeted by the devotees at the front gate. They had a huge, gigantic pile of green coconuts, dabs. I had never yet tasted a green coconut in my life. And we drank those coconuts very happily. Then we were led to the rooms there was only the rooms. They weren't even finished. The rooms on the front gate, the front wall, that front wall. The cement was still drying. That's where we stayed, because there was no other buildings. But there was one building, which was the Prasadam Hall. So we were told, come immediately, put your bags, and then come to the Prasadam Hall. Then we came into the Prasadam Hall, and that was the first time that we were served Mahaprasadam on leaf plates, and leaf cups, and clay cups. And they were serving, like those little upraised platforms, rows and rows and rows and rows for all of us. Then the Prasadam song started. What's that? Sharira Vidyaja. Everyone sing. Sharira Vidyaja. Jyotendriya Tahika. Bolo. Who was singing? I don't know. Some of the godbrothers of Gurudev, of Srila Prabhupada, I think, who came from their mutts to be there for this momentous occasion. And they sang the whole song in that way, classical Bengali singing. Jyotendriya Taheka. But they didn't stop at the end. Because usually we stop at the end when Krishna Bodhadoyamoy, Karibari Jivajoy, Swaprasada Nadilobai, Sayanamrita Pao, Radha Krishna Gunagao, Premidako Chaitanya Nitai. And we thought that's the end of the song. Now we can take. They were serving the prasadam. But then they began the next song. Ek Dine Shanti Pure. Because there's another song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So anyway, that was our arrival. Yes. And just the other day, who was telling me? Nishincha Didi went in 74. She went the year before that. That was actually the first year when they actually had like a festival, the construction, but it still wasn't finished. And there was about 200 devotees, she said. But now, there was probably altogether about 800 devotees. It was the first big festival. And we kind of understood that wow, this is a historical moment. And we're going to be 2 weeks with Srila Prabhupada here. So in this way, the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has gone all throughout the length and breadth of this planet. But it's only the beginning. Only the beginning. Yes. So, how did it begin? Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw that in this world, the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had fallen into ill repute. To the intellectual class, to the educated and wealthy class, and people who were sophisticated, they looked down on Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Why? Why? Because of the behavior, the very poor behavior of many different apasampradayas, offshoots of Mahaprabhu's movement, who claimed to be followers of Mahaprabhu, but they were just acting in debased, sinful ways, as if this is the mission and the philosophy. So the intellectual people, they kind of looked down and they kind of ignored. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that's the work that he did. He became the architect, and he wrote all the books, and he wrote all the articles, and he preached massively, and he rectified the wrong reputation of the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He rectified that, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood that someone has to be sent from the spiritual world. Otherwise it will not be possible. So he prayed. Do you know who else prayed? Advaitacharya also prayed to Krishna that he should descend himself to this world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed that Krishna should send one of his very own. So our Srila Prabhupada, he used to refer to his Guru Maharaj as a Vaikuntha man. He used that term, a Vaikuntha man. So Srila Prabhupada descended as the son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had a total of 11 children, I think. And you can see the family photo, especially if you go to Surabhi Kunj, you can see, because he lived there with his family, writing his books for a number of years. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also had to establish where is the actual birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because during the hundreds of years, the Ganga had shifted a number of times. I was just reading the whole description by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his purports in the beginning of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Very meticulously, he was telling how these different villages had to be forgotten and the people had to leave and like this. But eventually, it was very clearly concluded by all of the research that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had done, extensive research in Shastras, all the different biographies, and also even local reputation, or what is it called? Like what's that called? When you pass down in local reputation. That Mahaprabhu, he was born here. What? Legend, yeah, like that. Local lore and legend. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had done that research, and he came to a definite conclusion that it was on this side of the Ganga. Maypur, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was on this side of the Ganga, not on the other side. But because of the shifting over hundreds of years, there were various individuals who were claiming that it's there. And to this day, they still have a temple there, and they still try to lure people there and tell them it's the birthplace. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told in his description, they will never, ever be victorious and successful, ever, because it has been conclusively proven. So they can try all they want, so they can get donations from people that are coming, but this is the place. And then what also happened? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was on the other side of the Jalangi, where he stayed at Surabikund. And one nighttime, you have to understand, there was no electricity wires here in Maypur. But he saw lights coming down. And he approximated from a distance where those lights are coming down. The next day, he went there. And then when he went there, he was inquiring from different people. And different local people also told him, yes, in our history, this is said to be the birthplace here. And there was one place where cows would come all the time, and only tulsis would grow there. And that was the actual birthplace. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood, we have succeeded by the mercy of Krishna. Now all we need is the verification and the stamp of approval by who? Vaishnava Sarvabhauma, who in the 3 dhams of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Raja Shita Sheshair Vaishnavair Vandya Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhumbande Premabdim Vridha Vaishnavam. This is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. No, by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. He wrote an extra verse. And he says, Gora Vraja Shita Sheshair Vaishnavair Vandya Vigraham, who is worshipped and glorified by all the Vaishnavas in the 3 Vaishnava dhams of Vraja Vrindavan, Mayapur Navadvip, and Jagannath Puri. So they all accepted that Vaishnava Sarvabhauma, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who was at that time approximately 140 years old. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur began to organize and to advertise in the newspapers and so forth. And he gathered together very great stalwart Vaishnavas who were very well known, and many personalities came, and they performed kirtan, marching to the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when they approached the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what happened at that time? Jagannath Das Babaji, who was being carried in a basket on the head of his servant, Bihari. And he's 140 years old. Even his eyes the eyelids are sinking over his eyes. But when they approached the actual birthplace, then Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj became very restless, and he put down the basket and he jumped out of the basket and began jumping high in the air. He was practically crippled and couldn't walk. But he was jumping high in the air, and what was he chanting? What was he singing out loud in a very loud voice? Jai Sachinandana! Again and again, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Sachinandan. This is the birthplace of my Lord. And then all the devotees understood, yes, it has now been finally completely proven. And from that point on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought the deities, which are now installed in the big temple, but in the beginning they just built a small thatched cottage, and that's how the Yogpith birthplace began to manifest. So now during this time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, earlier, he appeared in the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jagannath Puri. There's a statement, I forget the actual statement, but Utkala something, that the future, Utkal, it will come from Utkal, meaning Orissa and Puri. So, when Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took birth there. And by the way, you can go there. Why? Because Bhakti Doyata Madhav Goswami Maharaj acquired that property, which was just an old dilapidated house, and established it, along with the other god brothers, as the birthplace of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And you can go there. There's a whole big, beautiful temple there built by Bhakti Doyata Madhav Maharaj. And in that temple, they actually have the very place which was the room where he was born. They didn't keep the same structure, but just in the back side there is the place where he was actually born, in that room. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born, Bhaktivinoda Thakur noticed various symptoms, because such learned personalities, they know the science of physiognomy, and they also know the science of auspicious markings and so forth. Also, our Srila Prabhupada used to tell us that when he was born and came out of the womb, he had the umbilical cord tied around his, like a Brahmin thread, where the Brahmin keeps on the left shoulder and down. His umbilical cord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur marked that. So in those first 6 months of his childhood, of his babyhood, then there's supposed to be the first grains, right? And where did he receive the first grains? On the Rathayatra cart of Lord Jagannath. Because it was Rathayatra time, and the carts were coming, and they stopped right in front of the house of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent his wife, and she brought the baby, and they climbed up onto the Rathayatra cart. And when the baby was placed at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, what happened? His garland immediately fell down on the baby. All of these signs and symptoms were there. His growing up period was extraordinary. He was an incredible, incredible genius. Incomparable genius he was. Even in his early childhood, but not just genius, devotional genius. Absolutely. By the age of 7 years, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita. All the shlokas. And he could give the purport and tell the purport to each one of the shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. In his childhood, one incident took place. Our Prabhupada told us this. Gurudev, he didn't want to shine a light on that, but because Prabhupada told us this, and it's very dear to our heart, we're also telling. Once, when he was very small, I don't know the exact age, but when he was small, he went into the storehouse where they keep the boga to offer to their deities, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This may have been in Navadvip, I'm not sure of the time, exact time. But one time Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and he saw that the child, and what was his name of his birth? Bimala Prasad. Bhaktivinoda Thakur named him after Bimala Devi. Who is Bimala Devi? The consort of Lord Jagannath. Which means, ultimately, who? Srimati Radhika. Bimala Prasad. The mercy of Bimala Devi. So, the child had wandered into the boga room, and there were ripe mangoes that were there, which were going to be given as an offering to the Lord. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur came into the boga room one day, he saw the little child sitting there and eating a mango, a ripe mango. And Bhaktivinoda said, "Oh, this is, no, you should not eat, because first we have to offer to Krishna. So you're eating it before, and the child took it so seriously. He took a vow. As a little child, I will never eat mango again in my life. Can you imagine? Huh? And we heard that the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were so heart-stricken that they could not rent, especially here in Bengal or in India, ripe mango during the mango season. They could not offer it to Prabhupada. Can you imagine how their hearts were pained by this? But we did hear that they invented numerous recipes of various mango chutneys made from green mangoes. So at least they were able to satisfy their desire by this. Anyway, his student life, his growing up, Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually gave him Harinam. He became his Harinam Guru. And also he gave him a murti of who? Kurmadev. And he gave him the mantras for worshipping the tortoise incarnation of Krishna, Kurmadev. So in his childhood he was worshipping like that. There are so many histories, and it will take very, very much time, but I'm just jumping to some main points. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur grew into his adulthood, it became very obvious that he was incredible genius, mathematical genius. He was so deeply educated in all the astrological literatures that even in his young age, he received the title which was awarded to him by the Astrological Society. And what was that title? Siddhanta Saraswati, which later became his sannyasi name, but that's actually where he first received that title, that name from them. And he was known as Siddhanta Saraswati. So he became very well known. But his real interest did not lie in any of these mundane things. His interest was in worshipping and serving Radha and Krishna. That was his focus and his main interest. So, there are some histories about how he was hired and brought into the service of a king. And the king wanted that he would educate his sons. I think 2 sons, or 1, I can't remember. What? Of Tripura, yes, of Tripura. Vaishnava king. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took up residence there, and for some period of time, he also gave that education to the sons. But while he was there, he took advantage of the vast library which the king had there. And Srila Prabhupada read all the books, and there were even some English books there. And he read all these books. In fact, this is kind of how he became deeply educated in English, just by reading the dictionary. Can you imagine? Reading the English unabridged dictionary. So, that early period of Srila Prabhupada's presence on the earth, there was one period where he would go with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Sometimes they would go to Jagannath Puri together, and in this way he was accompanying Bhaktivinoda Thakur and assisting Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But at one point in the 1890s, then this property called Chandrasekhar Bhavan, which is now what? The Chaitanya Math, the headquarters. That very property, which was the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya during the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was acquired by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And it was just jungle there at that time. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he took up residence there and built a small, like, bamboo mud hut, thatched roof like that. And he took a vow at that time. Do you know what his vow was? He will chant how many names of Krishna? 1 billion names. 1 billion names. That's 1,000 million. 1 billion names. And he calculated that this would take a period of 9 or 10 years. And if he would chant 3 lakhs of Harinam every day, then he would be able to complete that vow. So he did it right there. Can you imagine how powerful is that place where his samadhi is, where his deities are, Gandharvika Giridhari? This was done by him prior to him establishing Gaudiya Math. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was still on the planet. And so Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, now Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in his latter, final couple of years. And he had taken Vesh, Babaji Vesh, from who? Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. And now he was no longer interacting externally, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You can read this in the purport of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, his final purport in the Sri Upadeshamrita. And he's describing how he came in front of Bhaktivinoda Thakur at that time. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur looked at him with tears in his eyes, with incredible look of mercy, because now he will not be any longer extending himself externally to rescue the conditioned souls. Now at that moment he looked at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and he transferred full responsibility for the continuation of his preaching mission to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, but I have to mention that at the end of his completion of that vow of chanting 1 billion names of Krishna, what occurred? What took place at that time? There was a very astonishing thing that happened. Do you know what it was that happened at the end of his completing the vow? Who came there? Mahaprabhu himself descended with Nityananda. He manifested himself in front of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who didn't have his sannyas yet, and all of the associates, Panchatattva. And now they communicated to him, now you must begin preaching. Now you must begin preaching. They gave their full blessings. They told, you will not have to worry. We will send men, we will send money, everything will come. But now you begin your preaching. So shortly after that, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur departed from this world. And then, at that time, Vimala Prasad, who was initiated by Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. That's a whole nother incredible history. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, illiterate. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati at that time, most highly educated person. Bhaktivinoda Thakur told him, because Gaur Kishore Das Babaji would come to stay at their house there in Surabhikunj and listened to the Srimad Bhagavatam of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So earlier, Srila Prabhupada met him. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, you must take from him. You must take initiation from him. But when he approached Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji, who was completely aloof, avadut, had nothing at all to do with even outward clothing practically, and at that time he was living under a boat on the banks of the Ganga, just an overturned boat, and practically eating Ganga mud. He was unbelievably renounced to the extent that everyone was reminded of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami's extreme renunciation. So such was Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji. But he was not literate. Yet he knew all Tattva Siddhanta. He had realized Krishna directly. And now when Bhakti Siddhanta, when he approached for initiation, and Gaurkishore Das Babaji, he told him, no, that is not possible. You are born very aristocratic birth, very high birth, and I am illiterate person. Oh, I cannot give you. Prabhupada was very disappointed, but he had to go away, and again he had to come back. And he told Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur told him, no, you continue requesting. So multiple times he went, and each time he was told, no, I cannot give to you. You are a very highly learned, educated person like this. And then he also told him, you have too much you have conceit of your learning. So I cannot give you. You know, you can actually read the words written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in an article where he described the transformations that happened to him when he came to the lotus feet of his Guru Maharaj. Yes, and he describes how he realized, absolutely, I am the lowest, most fallen jiva in the whole universe. He realized this through the mercy of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Anyway, when he came to him, then Gaurkishore Das Babaji said, okay, I will ask my Lord Gauranga. And if he gives his permission, then I will give you initiation. Then he went away very happily. And the next time he came, did you ask? Did you ask our Lord? He says, oh, I forgot to ask him. And finally, at that point, he broke down weeping at the lotus feet of Gaurkishore Das Babaji, who then gave him his causeless mercy and told him to take bath in Ganga and return, and he gave him the Diksha mantras. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is the only disciple of Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Only one. He only initiated him. So, with this background, and with such a birth and upbringing, and such incredible qualities, now, after the disappearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he was given the name and initiation of what? Varshavanavi Devi Dayata Das. Varshavanavi Devi Dayata Das. That is his initiated name. Which means what? The servant of Varshavanavi Devi Dayata. Who is the most dearly beloved of Varshavanavi Devi? That's Srimati Radhika. And who is that? Krishna. So he is the servant of that Krishna who is most dearly beloved of Srimati Radharani. So, Srila Prabhupada, he began to understand that it was now time that he must take a very serious step in beginning to establish the mission of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the form of establishing a very adaptable system by which it can be embraced by people of the entire world. And in that way, he began to establish the Gaudiya Mat. The Gaudiya Mat, where there is an atmosphere of renunciation in the Mat. But before he did that, he realized that he will have to take the sannyas order in order to accomplish that. But his Guru Maharaj had left the planet, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur had left the planet. So he sat and prepared all of the vesh, the sannyas dress and danda and all. And following the system in the Ramanujacharya line that was hundreds of years old, he established the sannyas system for the modern day preaching mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he took and sat in front of a picture of Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj and took sannyas. And at that time, his formal sannyas title became what? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada began this mission. And at first, he was dissuaded from going to Calcutta. You know who dissuaded him from going to preach in Calcutta? Yes, his own guru told, that is the place of Kali. It is the place of Kali, you should not go. But he understood what the internal moods of his guru were. So now, after he had a very small number of devotees, he was preaching at the Yogpit for some time, and a couple of followers came. One of them was who? Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who was Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. And at that time, his auntie, and I think two different aunties, they brought him there. They had already received initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And they brought him there, and he was there when it was the Gaur Purnima time, but yet the preaching mission had not really manifested yet. And at that time they were at the Yogpit, and Prabhupada was describing that in the future we will establish a temple on each and every one of the 9 islands of Navadvipdam and install deities and all. And he began to talk about how we will establish printing presses, and we will print so many books, various books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and various other books in different languages even. Even we will have daily newspapers and weekly journals. So at that time, one of the aunties, he asked to Prabhupada, "Oh Prabhupada, you are telling that all of this is going to manifest, that there will be temples on every single island and so forth and all of this. But now we barely even have enough persons to ring the bell during the Artik. So please tell us, what is your vision? How will this take place?" And Vinod Bihari Brahmachari was sitting there, and he looked at him and he said, "Vinod will do all. Vinod will do all." And that's what happened. He became the main manager of all the Gaudiya Mats that began to manifest all throughout India. 64 different Gaudiya Mats were established during the time of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, who remained Brahmachari, because if he took sannyas, then he could not continue with that management, and everyone was very concerned. How will things be managed? So they dissuaded Srila Prabhupada from giving him sannyas. But later on, the incident that took place in Navadvip Dham, he gave him sannyas by handing him his danda, giving him his sannyas vesh and all. Only the name remained to be given. And who gave that? He gave that. Prabhupada in a dream came to him and told him that your sannyasi name should be Keshava. Yes, Bhakti Pragyan Keshava. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj in Katva, the same place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, that's where he received sannyas, and he mentioned to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj that I had dream. Prabhupada came to me in dream, and he said that my sannyasi name should be Keshava. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj took that and gave him that name. So he became Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. How many other personalities came? On this day we have to mention that in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada went to a particular location and they rented a building, and it was the address known as number 1 Ultadanga Junction Road, which is still there today, to this day in Calcutta. That became the first main preaching place. And who came there? Many educated people came there. And one of them was a young student in the British universities with his 2 student university friends who had to pull him there because they had already met and heard from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So they coaxed him and said, yeah, you must come. You must meet this Vaishnava. Very, very amazing personality, very exalted. And at that time, this young student, whose name was Abhay Charan De, he was reluctant. They said, no, you have to come, you have to come. Why was he reluctant? Because all through his childhood, his Vaishnava father was always inviting sadhus of any type to come and take lunch every single day. And so he would see dozens and hundreds and so many different sadhus, all as he was growing up. Do you know what he requested each one of the sadhus? After he fed them with very large amounts of prasadam, then he requested all of them that they should give their blessings to my son. And what blessings did he request that they should give? Huh? No, that he should become a great devotee of Srimati Radharani. That was the blessings he was requesting for his son. So did that happen? Yes. Not only did he become, he already was in the eternal spiritual world, but in his manifest pastimes, he became. So that young student, dressed in khadi cloth, follower of Gandhi at that time, Gandhi's movement, non-cooperation movement. So now, Srila, when they came into the room and they paid their obeisances in front of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and there were others who were also in the room, we can imagine it might have been a room maybe slightly smaller than this room, and there were various persons hearing from him. So then what happened? When they paid their obeisances and they sat up with folded palms in front of him, he immediately began speaking to him, to that Abhay Charan De. He immediately began to speak to him, telling him, oh, you are all educated young men, and you are educated in English in the British universities. So you should take this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preach this message all throughout the world. And when Abhay Charan De heard this suggestion, or practically like an order, he immediately was taken back and he thought, well, I have to say something. And then he said, oh, my revered, exalted Vaishnava personality, I hear what you are telling, but I have a very big doubt that who's going to listen to us? We Indians, we have been subjugated, conquered over by foreign powers for the last, 800, 600 years, like that. And so what kind of credibility do we have in the eyes of the other world, Western powers, America, Europe, all of this? Why will they listen to us? We're not even an independent, self-ruling nation. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, he said, and we don't know what the words, I wish there was a tape recorder, I wish someone had taken notes, but Prabhupada himself told us that my Guru Maharaj at that time, he completely defeated me by telling me that this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not dependent. This message of Mahaprabhu, it is not dependent on any external material situation, be it political, social, economic. It is not dependent on any of those factors at all. It is completely transcendent. And he told him in such a forceful way that at that moment, this young student, Abhay Charan Dey, he realized, I have been defeated. And he said, I liked being defeated. Then he said that I began thinking of him, that, I have met such an exalted Vaishnava personality in whose hands, whose capable hands, this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will now be preached everywhere. And he said, actually, at that moment, I accepted him into my heart, and I accepted him as my guru. That was my actual initiation at that moment. Although the formal initiation didn't take place for another 11 years or so. But at that moment, I accepted him. And he said, I began thinking again and again, day after day, day after day, I have met such a divine, exalted personality like this. So, did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur know? He's all-knowing, completely all-knowing, and he knew exactly who this young student is, what his birth in this world is, the purpose of his birth in this world. Both of these persons had descended from Goloka Vrindavan. And not only him, many other very exalted, highly educated, intellectual, great devotees, they all began to come to the lotus feet of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur like bumblebees to the honey. Yes. And in this way, the mission of Mahaprabhu, it now began to, it became so like a fire devouring everything. This mission was being preached so powerfully, and the society was taking notice of it, especially here. But there was an anti-party, and the anti-party were becoming very envious of this person, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, because he's taking all of our donations that are usually given to us, Prakrita Sahajiyas, or Smarta Brahmins, who did not actually embrace the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it is. And they were so envious, they decided, we have to kill him. We have to eliminate him. We have to get him out of the way. What did they do? The first great Navadvip Dham Parikrama re-establishing this great parikrama, like Sri Nityananda Prabhu had done hundreds of years before with Srila Jiva Goswami. This Navadvip Dham parikrama, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to now establish that parikrama. And what did he do? He arranged 100 mridanga players, the beautiful deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being carried on the back of a very beautifully decorated elephant, in the front of the party of 5,000 devotees. And they were marching with such a kirtan. In Navadvip Dham, they came to the central area, which is called Prolamatala, right? And in that area, these despicable persons, they had arranged to go up onto the rooftops there and to have a barrage of very sharp objects, broken glass bottles and rocks and stones and everything. And they began to shower them down by the thousands onto that parikrama group. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, with his danda, was walking right in the front. And when this began to happen, can you imagine? Everyone began to run for shelter, to not get hit by that. And who was walking right next to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. And as soon as this took place, instantaneously, without a single moment's hesitation, he immediately brought Prabhupada into a nearby doorway into safety and slammed the door behind. And now, inside of that room, he said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we must bring you to safety to Maypur. But now, you must give me your cloth and you take my white cloth. That way we can safely bring you there. So at that time, Prabhupada agreed to give his sannyas vesh. And they exchanged clothing. He gave his danda to him. And at that time, his life was saved by this disciple. Who knows that? Every single disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They know what this one disciple had done to save the life of their guru. Even Srila Sridhar Maharaj glorified so much how he had the presence of mind, so quick thinking, and how he was able to save the life of his guru. So there were so many disciples. We can name a whole long list of names. Now we know many of their names. Thanks to Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, who's written the book, My Beloved Masters, and he revealed biographical information and sketches of all these great disciples' lives. So they were really, truly not ordinary. They came like bees to the honey, and now they surrendered at the lotus feet of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. I was just reading the other day of one personality who I also was mentioned on his appearance day, is Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. And I saw his beautiful photo was there in the article by Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. Beautiful photo was there, Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. Highly educated. You know, he also went to England and preached in English. Who was he? He was first initiated by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And then later, he surrendered at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and took Diksha. And then he was given sannyas very early. When you see his picture, you can just make it larger on the screen and look at his face. Beautiful, beautiful turban. He's wearing his sannyas and sitting on a chair with the shoes, you know, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted them to wear shoes, like the shiny shoes, when they would go to the West. So, and just the expression on his face, it looks so beautiful. I was captured. I never saw, maybe I saw the picture, but I didn't take notice of it. But now he's on my list. he's on my list of those who went to the West. Bhakti Saranga Goswami, incredibly exalted personalities. And our Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj. All of these exalted personalities, they came to the lotus feet of Prabhupada. And there was great expenditure to send them to the West. This was the first time, the very first time, that Bengali Vaishnavas would be sent outside of India to preach in a foreign country. And where did they preach? In London, in England, the place of the conquerors of India. Yes. And at any rate, you know, the time, place, the circumstance, Kala Desha Patra, all of this, they made the effort. And actually later, it was noticed that what did they accomplish? Okay, they were not really able to accomplish the establishment of temples and so forth at that time. But what they did was they did reconnaissance. Do you know what reconnaissance is? That's in a military terminology, that when you are, when one army is facing another army, the enemy army, then they have to send in secret and penetrate into to find out where their weak points are, how they can conquer over them, and so forth, like this. And then when they return back, that's called reconnaissance. Then they tell everything that they've learned. So in this way, these exalted personalities who went to the West during the early 1930s, so Prabhupada departed in 1936 on this day. This is his disappearance day. In 1936, he departed at the very end of 1936. But from, I think, 1932, they began to send persons to the West. And there are many pastimes where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is looking at this other householder devotee, Abhay Charanaravinda. Now he had the initiated name Charanaravinda. And he was even given a title of Bhaktivedanta because of his very extraordinary ability to write wonderful philosophical articles and all of that. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew who he is. And when the devotees, when Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj returned back on the boat, on the ship, and they were in Bombay, I believe it was. I'm pretty sure it was the Bombay train station. And they took a big group photo there. And Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj was sitting in the middle with his turban and his danda, and to his right, to our left in the picture, were two white-skinned or light-skinned Western German persons wearing devotee dress. And one of them became known as Sadhananda. He was initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And he was a very, very great scholar. He even learned Bengali fluently and also had many conversations with Prabhupada. So that was accomplished. So in that photo, to the far right, is the householder who's sitting there, looking extremely beautiful. He was still quite young then, probably in his early 30s, I think Prabhupada was. And now he's also sitting there. To us, that's a very significant photo, because it's the first time that they've come back from Europe. And he is such a person who was given the instruction at his first meeting that he should preach this message everywhere. So you know who else was there in Bombay at that time? Was Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and I think Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. But our Srila Prabhupada, who had done business there in his business Grihastha life, he was introducing them to many wealthy people, and they made a team together. And one person would introduce, then another person would preach, and then the other person would canvass for the donation. And this way they were trying to establish a temple there in Bombay. So we heard from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, that they were very eager to bring Bhakti Hriday Ban Maharaj into a private room so that they could now hear from him directly and question him about his experience. Why? Because both Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj had also been suggested to him that he should also preach in the West by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj also ended up preaching there. And who else was there? This householder, Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu. So now they began to inquire from him, what was it like there? What was your experience there? Huh? You were preaching for the first time, living there amongst the Westerners. What did you experience? So then, one of the things that he told at that time, he said, the Westerners, the foreigners, they ask many questions. They ask many very serious questions. And they also ask some questions that are very difficult to answer. Like, you can't even answer them practically. Then at that time, Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked him, what questions? Tell us, what questions did they ask? And then, one by one, Bhakti Hriday Ban Maharaj began to tell, well, they asked this question, and then they asked that question, and one by one, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj began to perfectly answer each question and do away with that question, relegated to the pile of questions that have been answered. Then he came to the more difficult questions, and one by one, Srila Sridhar Maharaj answered all of them. And then there were no more questions. You know what happened at that moment? Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu, in that small little assembly, stood up from the seat and he declared, today Europe has been defeated by Asia. Europe has been defeated by Asia. So, this is the mission of Mahaprabhu, and the person at the helm of this mission was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada. He is the engineer. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the architect. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took that and worshipped Bhaktivinoda Thakur, everything that he had given. And then he began to distribute this. And he established Gaudiya Math, which is the place where now the Varnashram system can flourish. Which part of the Varnashram system? The Ashram Dharma. Brahmachari Grihastha Vanaprastha Sannyas. That is called Daivi Varnashram. He established Daivi Varnashram Dharma. Who else established that? Our Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, when he came to the West, practically from the very first days, he began to designate to his new disciples, oh, you are not married, so you should be brahmachari. Oh, you have a girlfriend or whatever, so you should get married, and you should be grihastha. And in this way, he began to establish Daivi Varnashram Dharma in the West. Was it successful? Oh, yes. Now it's all over the world. So, now the preaching mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was coming to a close in his physical presence. but his mission really had only just begun. And I wanted to read Glorification of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur by, first of all, I want to read this by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And we all know, because we sang it at the beginning of this program, the 12 verses of Srila Prabhupada Padmastavaka, written by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And there's two other songs also here. Songs, Ashtakams and like that, Panchakam, that he's written here glorifying Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But I just want to touch upon a few verses of this first song. We hear it all the time, but how much do we become really absorbed in that? You know, in yesterday I also read Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj's beautiful glorification of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati from the first volume of Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani. And he was telling there how Srila Prabhupada wanted so much that when persons do kirtan, that they should not just be focusing on the musical quality, the rhythm, the meter, the voice fluctuations and all this, but they should be trying to embrace the depth of that song from the core of their heart. And then that is real kirtan. So there were a number of different incidences, one in particular, which was at the very final days of Srila Prabhupada's presence. And what did he want to hear in those final moments, in his final days? He wanted to hear a very important song written by topmost Rupanuga Vaishnava, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, in which he is revealing and describing the topmost personality in our disciplic line, Srila Rupa Goswami, in his eternal spiritual identity as Sri Rupa Manjari. This is the song Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to hear. And at that time, then there were a couple of individuals who were renowned amongst the disciples as being very capable and very beautiful voices. And Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta also liked very much their kirtan. One of them was a brahmachari who later became Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. What was his brahmachari name again? You remember? Yes, Pranava Ananda. Yes, Pranav Ananda. And so he began to sing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada Se Mora Sampada. And he was singing it very beautifully. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur stopped kirtan and he said, I am not interested to hear all the external alliterations and voice, the movements of the voice and all of this. So he was teaching a particular lesson at that time. Because actually, this brahmachari was also on that same level of purity of kirtan. But he especially specifically requested, he wanted to hear, right there in that assembly, this song to be sung by someone who wasn't generally leading kirtan that often, and that was Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he began to follow that instruction, but in a kind of, he was feeling a little hesitant. But nevertheless, he and another devotee, the name is mentioned by Bhaktivedanta Bharati, they began to sing that song. And Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees, the disciples who were there in that assembly, they all later on described what was their experience being there at that time. And so many of the disciples, there was a very powerful, almost like a transcendental, mystical atmosphere in which they felt that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was being given entrance into the kunja of Sri Rupa Manjari. When they expressed that later on to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he could not accept. He said, rather, what I envisioned, if anything had been granted to me at that moment, then at least that I can guard from the outside, I can guard. Because his name is what? Bhakti Rakshak, the protector of the path of bhakti, given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he became that for the rest of his days on the planet. Another 40, 50 years after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati left. So that was mentioned, that Srila Prabhupada, he always was not interested in the external, although he completely commended and also wanted that all the instruments should be played properly and so forth. And even in the kirtans, one of the devotees, like Paramananda Prabhu, would come and grab the kartals from someone who is not playing properly on time, like that, So it's not that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was trying to say that that's not important. That's also important. But that must rest upon the foundation of what? Actual kirtan. So, like we're singing this song for Srila Prabhupada Padmastavaka, but generally, and being Westerners, we are not Sanskrit scholars and so forth, and like that. But nevertheless, we should try to sing with some comprehension of the meaning. So I'm just going to read a couple of these verses, and then I want to go to another section, and then I want to complete today's class by reading directly what Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, who wrote this book, how he told about the final instructions. Before he left this world, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke his final instructions. So I'm just reading maybe 3-4 verses from here, and then maybe another 2-3 verses from the other composition of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and then we'll read that article. Sujanar Buddharadita Padajugam Yuga Dharma Durandara Patravaram Varada Bayadayaka Puja Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam Bolo Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam. So the first line is telling Sujanar Buddha Radita Padayugam. Here Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj is telling that Sujan, what does Sujan mean? Sujan means very exalted transcendental Vaishnavas. Sujan. How many of them? Tens of thousands are Buddha. Sujanar Buddha Radita. So, what are they doing? His lotus feet are served in devotion by tens of thousands of highly virtuous souls. He is the establisher of the religion of the age, Sri Krishna Samkirtan. Because the next line is telling Yuga Dharma Durandara Patravaram. That he is truly the presiding monarch. Patravaram. Durandara Patravaram. Of what? Of the Yuga Dharma for this age. He is not an ordinary personality. He is so exalted that he is the presiding monarch and the establisher, establishing the Yuga Dharma in this age of Kali, which is the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha is mentioned here. This is the, to be a member of the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha, one has to be a very exalted Vaishnava on a universal level. Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha. So that was established by Srila Jiva Goswami. And he established in the modern era this Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha, which has come down for hundreds of years to the present day. So at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he became the main personality holding the mantle for this establishment of the Harinam Sankirtan movement. Then he says, Varadabhaya Dayaka Pujya Padam. Padam means lotus feet. Varadabhaya Dayaka Pujya Padam. So, he has established this universal society of the pure devotees that are the true Rajas, the true kings, Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha. And they are the guides of all the jivas. They are guiding. So, the most cherished desires he fulfills. Varadabhaya Dayaka Pujya Padam. He fulfills the most cherished desires and he dispels the fear, the bhaya, the fear. But what does he do? Abhaya. Varadabhaya. He gives fearlessness to all the souls. Therefore, I constantly make my obeisance unto the radiance emanating from the toenails of the holy lotus feet of my Lord, Srila Prabhupada, worshipable by one and all. Yes. Abhaya, mentioned in the first verse. And who was the personality who took this message to the whole world? Abhaya Charanaravinda. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Fearless. Who gave fearlessness to the whole world as the servant of this personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If you read his prayer that was written on the Jaladuta when he was crossing the Atlantic Ocean, this is one of my most favorite things in the whole world, is that prayer that he wrote there. What did he do? Who did he refer to in that prayer? He referred to his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He referred to him as being the divine personality by whose desire, it was his desire, that this mission will be preached. 3 verses he dedicated in that song to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. How this will reach the tips of mountains and will cross the oceans, and how this message of Mahaprabhu will go everywhere by the desire of this personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the dedication of this one disciple who brought with him on that Jaladuta ship, the water messenger, that's the name of the ship, the messenger on the water. But who was the message? Who was the messenger, and what was the message? The greatest message that has ever been given in this material world. Yes. And when he succeeded to start his first tiny little storefront preaching center in New York City, Lower East Side. They took over the premises from another shop that had rented the same space, and on the window of that shop was still the name that they named the shop. And do you know what the name was? Matchless Gifts. Can you imagine? Matchless Gifts. No one can give such a gift. This is the supreme, matchless gift that has ever been given in the whole world, is this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Harinam Sankirtan movement. And this Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami, he took this message as on his head. There's a verse written by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, glorifying him. Gurvagyam Shirshi Dharyam Shaktyavesh Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachyatarane. There are 3 verses written by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, or at least edited by him. And here he's telling, he took the order, the Agya. Agya means the order of Guru, Agya. Gurvagyam, the order of Guru, Shirashi Dharyam. He took it on his head. And taking that order on his head to preach this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what then happened? Shaktyavesh Swarupine. He became Shaktivesh avatar of Nityananda Shakti. On that ship, he prayed so helplessly. All alone, he's going to try to bring this mission. Even his very revered, exalted godbrothers could not yet accomplish what needed to be done. And now he's going with a very humble mood as the servant of his Guru Maharaj. And because of this, he felt helpless. He felt himself to be so empty of any other desire. This is what Srila Sridhar Maharaj said. He made himself empty of any other desire other than to carry out the order of his Guru Maharaj. No other speck of a desire was there. He made himself completely empty. And so therefore, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, divine power had to descend from there. Divine Shakti and power had to descend. Therefore, I declare that he became Shakti Avesh. When he was asked which Shakti, because the Lord has multiple, multifarious Shaktis, then he said Nityananda Shakti. So Nityananda Prabhu himself, through his Shakti, he empowered this devotee. And that's why it became possible. Because no other desire except to fulfill the order of his spiritual master. So what role does Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur play in all of this? There would be no Hare Krishna movement if he had not given that order to his disciples, if he had not inaugurated the effort, the mission to send devotees to the West and preach. But now this devotee, against all odds, is coming to the West and making this attempt. So, Krishna saw, and Krishna reciprocated. That's why the Hare Krishna movement exists. And why? Because the order of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is paramount. So, this devotee, he became empowered. And now, the history, the incredible history of how it happened. How did it actually happen? It's astonishing history. You have to read the books that are written by the devotees. where they narrate all their memories of being with Prabhupada from the very first days, how he did this, how he penetrated into this unbreakable fortress of Kali, and somehow or other, by the empowerment of the Lord, they began to come one by one. And he began to preach to them pure Harikatha. You know, we have recordings of his first lectures. We have those recordings because someone donated a tape recorder and he recorded. So we can actually hear his 1966 lectures in 26 Second Avenue. It's amazing, amazing. You have to listen to that and see how, knowing what we know about the expansive nature of Mahaprabhu's philosophy and all the incredible literatures of all the Goswamis, but Srila Prabhupada is sitting there in the midst of this audience, and somehow or other he's getting a foothold and grabbing the hearts of various individuals there. It's miraculous how it happened. But he didn't stop. 12 years in the West, from 1965 till 1977, when he returned here to Sri Vrindavan for his final days. And what he did will be glorified as an unparalleled achievement into the future of the whole world, how this one Vaishnava took the message of Mahaprabhu and against all odds, he gave it to the entire world and traveled the entire world. And then after him came his servants, like Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and others. And more will come. This is just the beginning, only the very, very beginning of Mahaprabhu's mission going to every town and village. So the great Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is the foundation. And his foundation is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. What a lineage we have. And all our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas in the line of Rupa Goswami. Incredible what we have. Incredible what is in our hands now. And all these books have already now been translated into English, practically most of the important literatures of the Goswamis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Good, reasonable translations. Huh? So, what to do? What to do? We have to serve and we have to surrender to these acharyas. That's our business in our life. We have been given a very special and unique dispensation by them. We have a responsibility to do two things, achar and prachar. We must do this. This is our duty, and if we continue to do that, if all the descendants in the line of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in this modern day Rupanuga Guru Varga, if they continue to follow the instructions themselves, to apply it in their lives, as is going on nicely, in some places not as nicely, in some places better it is going on. But it's going on all throughout the world. Devotees are chanting the Maha Mantra. The Maha Mantra has gone everywhere. What is that Maha Mantra? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bolo. Again. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Even little children, they're learning the Maha Mantra. They're chanting and singing. They're learning about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, so many generations now. Guess what? Even in the West, we have first generation children. We have second generation children of the devotees. We have third generation children. Yes. And this is just the beginning. What about by the year, well, let's say, at the end of this century, right? This is the so this is the 2000th. But what about when it's the next century, in 100 years from now? How many generations of Vaishnavas will there be on the planet at that time? And how every single town and village on the earth, they will have heard this. You know why you have your little gadgets in your purse, in your hand? And you know this little gadget that we've come to embrace to our hearts like it's our dearmost friend? It has a nice big picture screen on it. You know that thing? What is it called? What is it called? A smartphone. But do you know why this technology has been invented in the course of the last 500 years? Was it here 50 years ago? No. Even practically 20 years ago. But for the last 500 years, since the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on this planet, what started to happen in the Western civilization? The Renaissance, which was basically, what was the Renaissance? What was featured? What happened during the Renaissance? That wasn't happening prior to that. Do you know? Huh? Yeah, the Renaissance was coming out from what they called the Dark Ages, when the human civilization was quite backward in so many ways. Dark, no light, no knowledge. But when the Renaissance took place, then what happened? Books, yeah, gradually. It took a few hundred years first before the printing presses came. But what happened immediately at that time? There was an awakening, a renaissance. The art, the culture, the music, the philosophy of that time began to flourish like anything. All those cultural aspects of advanced human civilization, which were centered actually on theism. All the artists, all the music, all the compositions of the great classical composers, they're all centered on God. On God. So there was a spiritual awakening in human society, and that began exactly at the time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended 1 kilometer from where we're sitting. That went all over the world, the powerful atmosphere, the inspiration, and then gradually Western science began to take hold. And so many different inventions came, so many within a couple of 100 years, then there are various machines, and then by the end of 400 years, there was transportation, advancement of transportation, of communications, and all different aspects of human science. That happened. And gradually, in this century now, it came to this little gadget. The thing called the Internet. The Internet. How was a message broadcast before the Internet began to manifest? Huh? By post, yes. And then gradually by radio. Even during the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, there was radio waves and radio. Then gradually it turned into television, where you can actually see. You know, when Srila Prabhupada was in Los Angeles in his early period, he began to understand from the devotees that if he sat here and he recorded, and they recorded him on the video recording, speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam class and so forth, then gradually this could be saved and it could be projected everywhere throughout the world. So Srila Prabhupada actually sat and gave classes to the camera with a few devotees in the room. But the point about television is that now that television, that radio, all of these technologies began to improve, become more advanced. Then came the era of the computers and so forth. So we oldies, we lived through that period where it started with a tiny little black and white television tube, you know, and a radio which crackled, you know. But we've seen the whole thing. So now, what has happened? My point that I'm making, I want you to understand, this is Mahaprabhu's will. This is Mahaprabhu's will, that this technology should be there. Gurudev told us this. He said, this technology that has developed now in the Kali Yuga, it would never be here if it was not the Danya Kali Yuga. There are so many hundreds of Kali Yugas in the day of Brahma. But all of those Kali Yugas, they're very backward. There's no science and technology and all of that. But why all of a sudden, in this Kali Yuga, now this has happened, beginning from the time of Mahaprabhu's descent on this earth. And then Mahaprabhu sent, brought from the spiritual world, he brought his eternal associates down right here in Navadvip, West Bengal. He descended with his eternal associates. He descended with his entire Navadvip Dham, brought down from Goloka Braj in the spiritual world right onto this material plane. And he inaugurated the Samkirtan movement single-handedly when he came back from Gaya. And then all of his associates, they surrounded him, and Nityananda Prabhu arrived in Navadvip, and then everything became completely exploded in all directions, Mahaprabhu. Those beautiful, sweet pastimes of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. Then he took sannyas at the age of 24, and for the next 24 years, he gave this to the whole of India, traveled on foot throughout South India, went to Vrindavan, and then he met Rupa, Sanatana Goswami, their younger brother Anupam. Then gradually the 6 Goswamis came to his lotus feet, and gradually they all came to Vrindavan, and Mahaprabhu told them to re-establish all the lost holy places of Vrindavan. And now here, Navadvip Dham, which had remained just like a village up to 50 years ago, with rice fields and everything, now Navadvip Dham is going to be the center of the entire world map, because it will become the capital of the whole world. Yes, this will be it. And this has happened in this era, right now, this era where the technology has been made available. So what can be done now? What could never be done before? If a person is sitting in Africa or in Antarctica and there is an internet connection and they have one of these little devices, they can download all the books in various languages. No need for printing press, no need for sending it by post. Right there on the spot. Not only that, they want to know something, there's even a so-called Google Dave, like a kind of online guru system. You pose a question, you get an answer. So all of this has come. But what is it for? It's not for the sinful expansion of the non-devotee section, because a lot of this will be destroyed. Srila Prabhupada told, Srila Vamana Maharaj told, destruction is coming. All these big cities, everything. And much of this, of the technology, a lot of it will be destroyed. But still it will be there, Prabhupada told. But right now, anywhere, people can get this information. They can not only get this information, they can watch videos of the pure devotees who were on the planet speaking it directly from their lotus mouths. Multiple numbers of very exalted devotees. They can watch videos, they can hear audios and all of that. So what do you think during the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur what he would do with this technology? What would Bhaktivinoda Thakur do with this technology? Full utilization. So that's what's era that we're living in right now. We're living in that very era. We should understand ourselves to be very fortunate, because even though some of us came more than 50, 55 years ago, and a few devotees came in the Western world, even almost nearly 60 years ago now, but anybody who's sitting here in this room is in the early stages of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. It's just begun. So we worship the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who descended from Goloka Vrindavan. Srila Sridhar Maharaj wrote that in the final shloka of this prayer. Vrishabhanu Sutta Dayatanu Charam Charanashrita Renu Darastamaham Mahad Adbhuta Pavana Shakti Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, I just want to read this one verse. He's glorifying in the next song, Sri Dayata Das Pranati Panchakam. 5 verses. And in this verse, I'll just read the first verse of these 5. Bhaya Bhanjana Jaya Samshana Karunayata Nayanam Kanakot Pala Janakot Jvala Rasa Sagara Chayanam Mukari Krita Dharani Talahari Kirtana Rasanam Kshiti Pavana Bhavatarana Pihitarana Vasanam Subhado Daya Diva Sevrisha Vajiva Nijadayatam Pranamami cha charanantika paricharika sahitam. That last line, Pranamami cha charanantika paricharaka sahitam. So this first verse, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in such beautiful metered Sanskrit poetry, Srila Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj used to sing these in kirtan, these verses. He was very attached to the writings and of the songs of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So here, he says, on the holy day of his advent, I bow down again and again unto that beloved associate of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini and to the servitors of his lotus feet. His large, merciful eyes dispel the suffering soul's fear and proclaim the surrendered soul's victory. His divine form came forth from the birthplace of the golden lotus, the ocean of the mellow of divine consorthood. His tongue causes the whole earth planet to constantly vibrate with Krishna Samkirtan. And dressed in robes of the sun's radiance, saffron color, he purifies the universe and he dispels the suffering of material existence. So I'm just giving a tiny little droplet, a fragment of a droplet, just to hear some nectar like that. But I want to read this last thing of his final instructions. I'm trying to find it in the book. So there's one here, one chapter. Actually, there's many chapters. But this one chapter is called The Last Instruction. Actually, this is the chapter in which Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj composed very beautiful Sanskrit poetry. And with the Sanskrit verses and poetry, he declared what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had spoken, his final instructions to his disciples. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ended his sojourn amongst the mortals of this world on Thursday, January 1st, 1936, at 5:30 in the morning. A week prior to his disappearance, on December 23rd, Prabhupada gave a number of significant instructions to his disciples who came to see him. These were compiled and they were published in issues 23 and 24 of the 15th volume of the weekly Gaudiya magazine. These issues were dedicated to the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, and I have tried here to give these instructions in verse form. So listen carefully now. This is in Bengali. Sakale parama utsaha sahakare rupa raghunathavani prachara sabar. All of you preach the message. All of you, disciples, preach the message of Rupa and Raghunath. Raghunath Das Goswami. You preach to everyone with great utsaha, enthusiasm. Rupa Nuga Padadhuli Hoite Sabar Jena Charama Akanksha Chitte Jage Anibar. May the ultimate desire to become a speck of dust at the lotus feet of the followers of Sri Rupa remain ever awake in our hearts. Advaigyan Tattva Vraje Vrajendra Nandan Mool Vishaya Vigraha Se Sarva Sevya Dhana. Vrajendra Nandan Krishna is the principle of what? Advaigyan, non-dual consciousness. He is the root object of devotion, and he is the treasured object of service for all. Tar apakrita indriya tarpana udeshe ashraya anugatye sabe taka mile mishe. In order to satisfy the transcendental senses of the one non-dual supreme truth, you should all remain united in following Radha, the original reservoir of love for him. Sabara Udeshya Ek Shri Hari Bhajan Taha Sadibare Sabe Karaho Jatana. Everyone make the effort to perfect your worship of Sri Hari and make this the only purpose of your lives. Du diner jani e anitya samsar, tate mamata tyaji hao maya par. Remember that this world is temporary, and it lasts only a day or two. So give up your family attachment and transcend this world of illusion. Kona rupe jive nirvaha karichal, nitya tattva Krishna bhakti koraha sambal. Maintain your worldly obligations in whatever way you can, but make the eternal principle, devotion to Krishna, the true provision for your voyage through this life. Vipad ganjana shata sata se lanchana asuk tatapi hari bhajan cherana. Let hundreds of dangers, hundreds of insults, and persecutions, let them come. But despite all of them, do not give up your worship of Krishna. Sarva Vigna Vinashana Prabhu Gaura Hari Avashya Shri Pade Stan Diben Doyakari. Lord Gaur Hari, He destroys all obstacles on the path, and He will surely be merciful, and He will give you a place at His lotus feet, if you do what has been told here. Shri Krishna Vimukha Hedi Adikamsa Jana Shuddha Krishna Seva Kata Na Kore Grahana Hayo Na Utsaha Heen Taha Te Kokon Chero Na Jivatu Tava Nijera Bhajana. When you see, we should all think that he's talking to us. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is talking to us right now. And he's saying, when you see that most people in this world, most people are indifferent to Sri Krishna, and show no interest in the selfless service to Krishna or in talks about Him. But don't be discouraged. Most of all, never give up your bhajan, your life and soul. Nija sarvasya Krishna kata shravan kirtan charya daridrya keno karibe varana. Why would you accept the poverty of a life without hearing and chanting about Krishna, who is your soul wealth? Now I'm just going to go on with the English from this point on. Beg for Krishna's lotus feet. Beg for Krishna's lotus feet, the ultimate benediction for all living beings. The Lord is all-powerful, and He will quickly fulfill your desire. Krishna is not incapable. He is competent, and His servant's distress never goes in vain. Please always chant the name of the Lord, being humbler than a blade of grass, and more tolerant than the tree. Give all respects to others, and demand none for yourself. Make the worship of the holy name the most important aspect of your devotional life. A wise person will worship the Lord after taking initiation in the sacrifice of the holy name, inaugurated by Sri Krishna Chaitanya and his associates. So if you're a wise person, then you will worship the Lord after you've done what? After you've taken initiation in the sacrifice of the holy names, inaugurated by Sri Krishna Chaitanya and his associates. That proves that you're a wise person. Offer yourself up. Yourself. You offer your very own self. Where should you offer yourself? Up into the 7 flames of this sacrificial fire. The scriptures say that this is especially the religious principle in the age of Kali. What are the 7 flames? Yes. In the first verse of Sikshastakam, there are 7 effects mentioned. Chetodarpanamarjanam, Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam, Shriyakaidava Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidyavadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhivardhanam, Pratipatam Purnam Ritasvadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam. Those are the 7 flames. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So, we should offer ourselves into these 7 flames of this sacrificial fire. We do not seek to become heroes performing great works or religious deeds. We will become distressed if we take up the paths of knowledge or karma, jnana, yoga, austerities like this. We'll become distressed. You should know that your true identity is to be a speck of dust at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Prabhu. Don't go against this identity, which is your treasure. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the best of all the followers of Srila Rupa Goswami. The pure joy of devotional service, it comes in the stream that started with him. That stream is holy and is full of the nectarine flavors of devotion. Even 100 obstacles shall never obstruct it. Intelligent persons who have bathed in the waters of this stream, they should endeavor to fulfill the heartfelt wishes of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And amongst you, now he's addressing his disciples, amongst all of you, there are many capable and worthy individuals. So, all of you come forward and quickly take up this task. Taking your grass between your teeth. Oh no, he's saying taking grass between my teeth. I pray repeatedly that I may become a speck of dust at the Sri Rupa Goswami's lotus feet, birth after birth. Other than this, I pray that no other desire will ever manifest in my or anyone else's heart. While living in this world, we encounter many difficulties, but there is no need for us to ever be bewildered by these difficulties. We need make no effort to remove any of these obstacles. What is necessary for us while we are still here is to learn what is beyond. What will be the nature of our eternal life? This is what is necessary. Let me realize at this very moment the nature of my eternal spiritual identity and my eternal life in the spiritual world. There are so many things that attract us and that repel us. There is no end to the things that we want and that we don't want. We love to resolve exactly what we do or do not want. We like to resolve this. I don't want this. I do want this. And we like to decide to search out devotional service to Krishna, the eternal truth. So he's saying here, we have to resolve exactly what we do or we do not want. And we must decide to search out devotional service to Krishna, the eternal truth. If you wish to conquer over attractions and repulsions, then you should remember that by becoming attracted to the transcendental holy name, you will be delivered from them. Then you will understand the nature of service to Krishna, and you will understand the taste of his divine topics. Then you will feel nothing but disgust for the other insignificant pleasures of this world. Disgust. And as you increase cultivating your consciousness of Krishna, your thirst for material sense objects, it will decrease. Yeah, that's the secret. As you increase cultivating your consciousness of Krishna, your thirst for material sense objects will decrease. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness is very perplexing. At first, it seems very startling and also full of complex details. The holy name is more compassionate than the Lord of the name himself. The name is more compassionate than the Lord of the name himself. If one takes shelter of the name, then it unravels all these philosophical complexities. So the treasure of love for Krishna is the eternal goal of our lives. And at every moment, personal desires interfere with our realizing it. This is coming to the end now of these verses. By taking shelter of the holy name, all these obstacles are removed, and we can obtain the fulfillment of our true desire to dwell in the realm of pure love of Krishna. So in this world, no one is the special object of my affection, nor do I have the slightest hostility toward anyone in this world. He is saying, whatever arrangements that we make here in this world are momentary. There is no need to waste time thinking about gain or loss here. No need to waste time thinking about gain or loss here. The only thing anyone should strive for is the one supreme goal of life. That is the great treasure of love for Krishna's lotus feet. So, join together, all of you, and strive for this goal. Work together harmoniously with a single thing in mind and a single understanding. And working together with the same purpose, you will become qualified for the service of Radharani, the original reservoir of love for Krishna. May the stream of ideas promoted by Rupa Goswami and his followers ever flow. We must never try to be independent of his doctrine. May we never become indifferent or disinterested in the sacrifice of the holy name with its fire of 7 flames. In the performance of some kirtan, if your single-minded devotion goes on increasing, then all your desires will be fulfilled and all your goals achieved. Last 2 verses now. Take hold of the feet of the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami and follow them with exclusive commitment. Preach the message of Sri Rupa and Raghunath fearlessly and with great enthusiasm. And through this preaching, you will attain all perfection. Gaur Premanandi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Disappearance Day Tirubhav Mahamahotsav Titi ki jai. 88 years from his disappearance of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Rupa Goswami Pada ki jai. 6 Goswamis ki jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Our Bhakti Vinod Dhara ki jai. All the acharyas in the line of Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Vansha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We will have a short Guru Puja, and devotees can offer flowers there to the picture of Prabhupada. And then we will go downstairs where they have prepared some prasad, and we will take there. You can take the mic. Stand it up over here. Yes, we're going to do Guru Puja now. Just with flowers.